What is everybody? Starrcade 1986, the night of the Skywalkers, coming right at you here with Daniel Rock 08, of course. Now, once again, like 1985, this is split into two parts: the Greensboro Coliseum and the Omni in Atlanta, Georgia. Back and forth, just like 1985. However, the overall main event is in the Greensboro Coliseum, which is Ric Flair versus Nikita Koloff for the NWA World Heavyweight Belt. And the main event for the Omni is the scaffold match. Now, about 2 months before this event, initially this was supposed to be Ric Flair versus Magnum TA for the NWA World Title. Unfortunately, the motorcycle accident caused Magnum TA to cut his career short. He was left paralyzed for a long time afterwards, and he was lucky enough to walk again after. He was lucky enough to walk again, but he was not too lucky to save his career. And that was heartbreaking because, make no bones about it, Magnum TA would have been a big star. Now, how big of a star would he have been? But that is the question. Like, how big? It's a big what if. But it's the nature of the beast. It's like the plane crash with Ric Flair. What if the plane crash, ended Ric Flair's career and we never saw Ric Flair again after 1975? It was. So it's just like that. Only unfortunately, Magnum TA could not come back from that terrible accident. And the next two Starrcade main events with Ric Flair are against, Nikita Koloff and then Ronnie Garvin, which, is weird. So they had to change something really quick. They had to change Nikita Koloff babyface because, he was the next over guy, I guess. So, and it worked, but it didn't work as great as it should have been. Really, this show should have been a lot better than it was. It's a good show, it's a good follow-up, but it's just, I don't know. There's just something weird about this show because of the whole accident. Anyways, Tim Horner and Nielsen Royal defeated the Cornell brothers. I don't know who these fucks are. Brad Armstrong and Jimmy Garvin win to a 15-minute time limit draw for a no contest. A good match. The Russians, that is Ivan Koloff and Kushner Khrushchev, defeated the Kansas Jayhawks, which was Dutch Mantel and some other guy, I forgot. A 5.5, a solid match. Next up, Wahoo McDaniels defeated Rick Rude. Yeah, Rick Rude in a good strap match. The problem I had with this match, it ended a very stupid way. Wahoo, which was like 50 years old, already a legend in the business, probably should have lost to Rick Rude. So that's why I give it a 6 and not a 7. Next up, Sam Houston defeated Bill Dundee, whatever, via disqualification, another 5.5. Almost a solid match. Next up, Jimmy Valiant defeated Paul Jones in a hair versus hair match. These guys had a match back in either 83 Starrcade or 84 Starrcade. It was just as bad, and they decided, hey, let's go at it again. This was bad. A 3. Big Bubba Rogers. Yeah, you remember him? Yeah, he's the big boss man. The guy who would become the big boss man. He defeated Ronnie Garvin. A 5. Now, Ronnie Garvin loses to the big boss man. And he's the guy who's going to main event the next year's Starrcade? Ugh, it's weird. A 5. Like I said, after that horrible motorcycle accident with Magnum TA, they they struggled to find a new guy, an up-and-comer to try and take the brass ring from Ric Flair, to try to hang with Ric Flair. And it took this Starrcade and the next Starrcade to finally find that guy. They finally found it with Lex Luger, and then eventually even more so with Sting. But, you know, it was a hard road, these next two Starrcades. 5. Tully Blanchard defeated Dusty Rhodes in a should have been fantastic First Blood match, but it was a kind of disappointing. It wasn't bad, but it should have been a lot better. A 6 out of 10 to capture the television championship belt. It's good, but it could have been a lot better. Tully and Dusty wasn't as great as Rick and Dusty. Or Tully and Magnum, whatever. Next up, the Road Warriors defeat the Midnight Express in the scaffold match. This is the big spectacle match. Although, in my personal opinion, this probably could have been the main event, because this is what the whole Starrcade was really built about. It was called the Night of the Skywalkers because of this damn scaffold match. Most scaffold matches, it's an old school as fuck match, and they're boring as shit. But this match, it's easily the best scaffold match out there. Check it out. Highly recommend it. It's a good match. A 7 out of 10. Now, it's not a 9. It's not a 10. It's as great as you're going to get with a scaffold match. How do you win a scaffold match? By throwing your opponent off of the scaffold 25 feet below to the mat. It's a dangerous, dangerous match. And the Midnight Express went fucking bonkers on this match. But the best part of this match comes after the match, where Jim Cornette climbs the scaffold, gets on top of it. There's Road Warrior Animal waiting for him. He gets scared to death. He tries to get down from the scaffold. So here he is hanging from the scaffold. Paul Ellering, the manager of the Road Warriors, stomps on his hands. He falls. So Jim Cornette falls. And Big Bubba Rogers is supposed to catch him. The big Boost man is supposed to catch him. Unfortunately, poor Jim Cornette. Jim Cornette, his legs and his feet, he landed feet first. He, like a cat, he tried landing on his feet, but his legs just, like, crumpled, and he tore his legs. It's like he really damaged his legs bad. He tore his knees really bad. It is a horribly funny as shit moment. A 7 out of 10. Next up, Rock and Roll Express defeated the Andersons in a Steel Cage World Tag Team Championship match to retain their tag team belts. And another fantastic match. Just like 85 with the Rock and Roll Express against the Koloffs, this was another spectacular match with this tag team, the Rock and Roll Express. A 9 out of 10. A fantastic, stellar match. As close as perfect as you're going to get. A wonderful tag team steel cage championship match. A 9. And then the main event is Ric Flair and Nikita Koloff in the Greensboro Coliseum. And they go to a double disqualification. Nikita Koloff had to turn babyface and just to face Ric Flair. And this is a good match. But the problem is it should have been Magnum. It should have been Magnum in this spot. I feel like this match doesn't really have a soul. And you just feel that when you're watching this. It's not a bad match. It's actually a good match. A really good match. It's just lacking something. And it's lacking a soul. Nothing against Nikita Koloff, but he just wasn't ready to be in this spot. Magnum TA was supposed to be in this spot. Unfortunately, because of that motorcycle accident 2 months before this, or the month before this, Nikita Koloff, they had to do something, and they had to do something shocking, and they had to do something quick, and Nikita Koloff turned babyface. It's just like a little... It's like I don't know how to describe it, but this match has no soul. Ric Flair can make anyone look good, but if there's no real true meaning behind the match, it's just there. I give this match a 7 because if you look past that, it's still a good match. Overall, Starrcade 86, the Night of the Skywalkers, is a good Starrcade. Should have been a lot better. It's a good follow-up, but it's lacking a lot. If you like take off a couple of these matches, like there's 11 matches, you cut off maybe 4 matches on here, and then it would have been better. Starrcade 86, the Night of the Skywalkers, gets a 6 out of 10. It's a good follow-up from 85, but it's lacking quite a bit. So I'm Daniel Rock 08, and I'll catch you next time for Starrcade 1987, which is